Hello and welcome to Gritty Reboot, the show where we have definite opinions about bootcut jeans and we'll share them with you at length.
Bootcut jeans, terrible. 2005 it was rock bottom for fashion in America.
That is strong words after the 70s. I am host Kevin James. With me are my co-hosts Sarah Dunaway and Hunter Markham.
I assume that I have a lot more experience with bootcut jeans than either of you. I could be wrong, but
You probably do. I think I owned one pair of bootcut jeans in probably 2005. But I have always preferred straight cut.
I think, I was at skinny jeans at that point. My sister had bootcut jeans. I saw enough bootcut jeans. But before we get started, I think we need to address the elephant in the room, which is, Sarah, earlier this week on Twitter, you tweeted, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts," accompanied by a 92-second video of you hanging upside down blindfolded, assembling your AR-15. Would you like to explain that for our listeners?
I mean, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory.
For the record, that's not real.
That was a very detailed setup.
This is what I woke up the other day and I was like, this is what I want to say when we open the podcast.
As you started, I was like going back in my head, like, did I don't think I tweeted anything this week.
But what we do here on this show is we talk about TV shows and movies, and we've been watching Wynonna Earp and discussing it episode by episode, but we've also gone pretty off book and have decided to loosen things up and have diversions about bootcut jeans.
Yes. Should I also take this time to apologize for some of my tweets this past week? I believe I have tweeted things such as, "This ain't it, chief," and "Get this bread, fam." I would like to apologize. I have been informed I am very white. I cannot pull those tweets off.
Yeah, I've just been tweeting things about booping doggos on the snoot, so I've been officially banned from Twitter and from the internet for the foreseeable future. I have a serious problem with internet, like all internet slang or lingo, because it never seems cool. You put it in a TV show, which I think kind of happens in this show at one point in the episode we're discussing today. But if you put it in TV, movie, or a book, it just seems really, really lame.
Well, and it's always like the weirdest version. Like I can remember back when there was mostly just texting, and whenever they would try to show texting on TV shows, it was like the most cliche, like the letter U and then the number 2, and like ways that no one was actually texting at that time. Like,
I know what you mean. Like, it was like AIM message chats,
Yes.
but dumber.
Yeah,
that
it
was
was
their
like
idea of texting.
cool was spelled like KEWL, and in like 2004, and you're like, no one's doing that, guys.
No
Come
one
on.
does that. It's the same amount of effort and the same amount of letters as spelling
Yeah.
cool the correct way.
It's ridiculous.
I had a friend in high school who he basically tried to make fetch happen. So for anyone who doesn't know, on the West Coast, we have a fast food chain called In-N-Out Burger, which everyone just calls In-N-Out, and he tried to make INOB happen, which you may all realize is the exact same syllable length as In-N-Out, but has the added benefit of no one knowing what you mean and you have to explain it.
We've all failed inventions, but I don't think anyone's ever failed as hard as that poor kid.
Yeah.
The first 1,000 times Edison tried to create a light bulb and fucked it up were better than that.
Yeah.
So Wynonna Earp, we are on season 1, episode 4. Anyone have a title for us? I forgot to note
The
it.
Blade. Isn't it called The Blade?
I assume it was called The Snoots Get Booped.
It is called The Blade.
Yeah, The Blade just made me think Wesley Snipes, America's greatest actor.
He is really good, though.
I mean, he was in Major League and White Men Can't Jump, 2 of my favorite movies.
Yeah, and Oh man, serious Buffy vibes off this episode. That's all Sarah and I could talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Buffy. Please explain to me this episode. I mean, it wasn't groundbreaking, but I enjoyed the heck out of the whole thing. I guess I didn't see Buffy parallels as much because I don't know Buffy from the Hole in the Ground.
Yeah, so this episode does continue our trend of like it's just generally fun, even though there are definitely like silly and questionable aspects to it. For Sarah, she's gonna tell you about what specific episode this reminded her of. For me, it just generally reminded me of Buffy season 1, where they're still figuring things out. In Buffy season 1, they're like, what if horror was a metaphorical stand-in for high school? But they hadn't quite nailed the right level of metaphor, so you get like way too literal monsters like a pack of teen boys will be transformed into hyenas because get it? They're predators and pack animals.
Yeah. For me, it reminded me specifically of a season 2 episode of Buffy called The Dark Age, where Giles, who's the librarian, and Buffy's watcher mentor, turns out he had a very troubled past that involved summoning a demon that's now jumping, like possessing his friends and then killing them. And now it's coming for him. So that the whole like jumping and demon from the past thing, obviously very reminiscent of this episode.
Oh, I was thinking of that Denzel Washington movie Fallen, where there's the evil demon that hops from person to person.
Similar idea, yeah, totally.
So I had a slightly different background, but it makes sense that Buffy and Wynonna Earp both have this thing of strong female lead character who is the chosen one who has to battle evil in, I don't know, is Buffy contained to whatever town she's in, or is Buffy a globetrotter? Is she more of a Carmen Sandiego type of
Buffy
character?
Isn't technically contained, but for practical purposes she stays in her town because she's a high school student.
Okay. There isn't just like Buffy goes to the Sahara Desert in an episode.
I mean, she occasionally travels, but it's pretty much all within Sunnydale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the other thing that reminded me of that season 2 episode of Buffy is that episode was made in 1997, and I would say the graphics are similar to this 2016, 2017, whatever it was episode.
We'll get there when we get there, but like, oh my god, the final confrontation with the evil doctor man who travels through mirrors, where he lunges like a rocket out of the water. I couldn't stop laughing.
We both lost it. It was great.
Hunter, when you tweet out that scene with your trademark like song mashup or whatever, could you also add like dolphin noises?
I will just have that clip, but as he comes out of the water, I will put in the dolphin like
Free Willy theme, maybe.
Oh, the Free Willy theme would be great.
Put the little boy underneath him. Oh, so good.
I've got to go into Final Cut and really make this happen. What was your first note on this episode? Because it opens with Wynonna and Doc Holliday at the shooting range, and we get this flashback to Wyatt Earp, who, to me, I was like, this character's whole purpose is just exposition. He walks in, he's like, I'm Wyatt Earp, I'm going to purgatory because of things. I do the exposition in around these parts.
Yes, my very first note is Wyatt Earp looks like he's in a folksy indie rock dad band.
Yeah, you can't convince me he's not the bassist of The National.
He 100% is. It was a very weird casting choice. He looks very mild mannered, kind of.
He's also, maybe this is unfair to say, of a bit character who appears in 30 seconds of scenes, but doesn't seem like he can really act.
No, and all right, that mustache he had, because he has an elaborate handlebar mustache, I kept looking at it. That's not real. That can't be real. That was stuck on the spirit gum, and it's really obvious that this is a false mustache that was hastily trimmed by makeup. It's not exactly Kurt Russell's portrayal of Wyatt Earp in Tombstone level.
No, I mean, he's pulling that mustache off maybe 1% better than I would, and that's about it.
but he's seriously just there to give exposition and pretty much say, I am Wyatt Earp. I'm going to purgatory. You're dying, Doc Holliday. Goodbye forever.
Hunter, your delivery there is just a little too forceful and compelling. Could you make it just like a skosh more wooden?
I am Wyatt Earp, a lawman. I shall leave now. Farewell, my former colleague, Doc Holliday.
Cut, print, perfect.
Just more robotic. They could have just had a text-to-speech pretty much deliver these lines.
Speaking of bad acting, like I feel like Doll's actor is really phony in this episode too. He just seemed bored and like unable to invest in anything this episode. Come on, Wynonna.
Yeah, no, he was really phoning it in. Doc Holliday, as always, was phoning it in. He could have done so much more with I'm lying on a bed dying of TB. He was just basically like, I'm just gonna look pale and have this bloody rag next to my mouth. Like, where's the coughing? Put on a show for me. Like, let's Moulin Rouge this up, man.
He's just like...
I have the black lung. Wyatt.
I thought consumptives were supposed to get a beautiful glow at the end of their life. Doc Holliday looked like a sack of shit laying in that cot.
He sure did.
But, okay, I thought that there was one or two parts towards the end of this episode where Doc Holliday was better and there was a little bit better performance out of him. But for the first 35 minutes or so, he was pretty bland. When it comes to Dolls, the actor Shamir Anderson, I don't know if he's still trying to find the character or if it's whoever was directing this episode, but I don't think they found the right way to portray that he's cool and experienced without making him seem very bored. He should have or communicate some more smoldering intensity, which he's done a bit better in other episodes.
I agree with that assessment. They're clearly shooting for something that's like not quite cocky swagger, but like it does have some kind of experience seen it all attitude. And so far, it's not coming together right.
Yeah, like you could go further into making him like an aloof kind of asshole type. Like he could be more of like I don't know. I'm trying to think of other cops in shows.
Yeah.
Like a Dokes energy potentially, like more
Dokes
like
was great.
Like a little more like
Listener.
weird, angry, like going off about stuff. Like I could get into that. Like right now he just has no personality, really, except like he's intense.
For listeners who don't know, Sergeant Dokes was the police officer who was opposite Dexter in the TV show Dexter. And he was the one cop on the force who was convinced that Dexter was a serial killer because he was. And he had a great, unique intensity that it's like rare to find in those roles.
God damn it, Dexter Morgan. You are one crazy piece of shit.
Kind of.
I don't like the look of your face. I know there's something wrong behind your glass motherfucking eyes.
It kind of is.
Exactly.
That's my Dokes impression because I love that character and adored him so much. And when he was killed off in season 2, the show's been out for years, people. If you haven't seen it, get over it. I got really upset. He was my favorite
Also,
character.
you just should not watch the show past season 2 because it gets steadily terrible. Has a slight uptick in season 5 and then has one of the worst TV finales of all time.
I liked season 3. Wait, which one's the one with John Lithgow?
I think that's like 5, maybe 4.
I thought that was season 3.
It was okay for a while. Season 2 was really weird, though.
Yes. Season 2...
There were weird dips.
Yes.
Welcome to Gritty Reboot, the show where we discuss the TV show Dexter.
But my thing is...
But Dokes was great, and it was not the same once he was gone. He should have not died. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Getting back to Deputy Marshal Dolls, I think that the writers or showrunner are a little bit scared to make him kind of an asshole or are afraid of him having unlikable qualities. And right now he's kind of bland because of that. And it's this thing of he can have moments where he's kind of a jerk, but he can still be interesting and we can see some sort of transformation. Right now he just doesn't have much personality.
It's a thing that Kevin and I talk about a lot, where there's this tendency for especially like male writers to write characters that are like cool and emotionless. And I get that that is an ideal for some people, but like for a lot of us, that's just really boring and just there's nowhere to go with that.
Yeah, when you compare him to Wynonna, who is a lot more unrepentant in her behavior, which is ironic since the theme of this one is, remorse and forgiveness. Like, she comes across as a far more interesting and likable character because she is so much more emotionally driven in a more interesting way. She is just constantly projecting, like, yes, I do have these feelings and I am behaving in weird ways, but what do you care? That's me.
Yes, she's flawed, and maybe they were worried about having two flawed characters working side by side. And Wynonna steals the show, rightfully so, since it's her show. I want more from Dolls, though. I want him to be a more interesting character, especially since I think they're trying to build up a romance between him and Wynonna. And right now, it's just not really there.
Yeah, and there are ways to like make a character interesting without making them flawed. I think Waverly's pretty interesting, and she doesn't have a real flaw yet. I don't think. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but like the closest thing she has to a flaw right now is a bad taste in boyfriends, which, not a lot to go with, but the actress makes that character work, and she's still interesting and fun.
Honestly, and she's stuck in such a small town that it makes complete sense that she'd be stuck with garbage. Mm-hmm. So I don't see that as a huge flaw.
Like I said, I don't think she has a real flaw yet.
Yeah.
Oh, but she's an interesting character. I've come around to her since episode 1 as a character. I said from the first I was reticent, but I can have my mind changed. Can we talk about the villain of this episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, they give barbers a really bad rap in all sorts of fiction. They're always demon barbers.
Yes, our demon barber, August Hamilton, who you may know from his hit musical on Broadway, is a demon barber who had to testify in court, and so that got him killed, and so he blames Wyatt Earp. Was that what it was?
Yes, it was something like that, where people confessed their crimes to their barber, because everyone talks to their barber. Wyatt Earp knew this and said, testify that you know about these crimes, and he was killed before he could provide witness on the stand, so he's a revenant, even though Wyatt didn't personally kill him. He's the barber who travels by mirror and seeks out sinners?
Yeah, not really sure how that translated, and I'm also... it's just so weird that they're already kind of straining and breaking these very loosely defined rules already, just 4 or 5 episodes in. Like, you'd expect this kind of, like, rule bending to come in, like, season 2 and 3 when they're starting to run out of steam on the whole Revenant idea.
Yeah. This leads me to something that I think that we should do. Clearly, the Wynonna Earp writers are running out of ideas for villains. And my idea is we can just come up with some right now. And we can play a little game where I will say the first word of this villain's name, and then you guys can describe them. Like, Kevin, you say the next word. Sarah, you say the final word. So my first word is doctor. Kevin, your second word is...
Doctor.
You're just gonna have to
What goes with that?
You just go with the first thing that comes into mind.
I was expecting you to say a name, not a profession, so I had a profession ready.
Oh no, I was just.
But maybe he could be a doctor and a horseshoe maker.
See? I was just
Dr. Horseshoe?
Yeah.
Dr. Horseshoe Hands.
See? It's just perfect. The scene of the crime, you never find fingerprints, you just find mysterious hoof marks. And you know he's coming for you when you hear his trademark whinny.
He exacts revenge on those who have left prematurely, and Wynonna must face his judgment.
If at any point you are unshod, that is when he comes for you.
You could just go with 1 million of these. It could just be like...
The magician, every time he lifts his cowboy hat, a demon comes out.
I will say I did like so his mirror traveling. They did do one interesting thing with it that I haven't seen in other similar setups. Is they correctly point out water is also a reflective surface, and that's probably what he's using to channel his power. And I thought that was like a little bit clever, maybe not super clever, but it's at least different than I've seen before.
I thought that was going to actually come up earlier in the show than it did, which we can get to as we discuss his murders. I think the first person he murders is one of Wynonna's high school classmates, and we find out that everyone in town hates Wynonna more than we thought before.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge surprise, but we did get a confirmation that just like, yeah, everyone hates you.
Like the first woman who got murdered, Wynonna's like, oh, she hated me. And then the last person that woman had talked to before she died also hates Wynonna. Wynonna eventually ends up getting targeted by this demon barber whose shtick is, hey, you have 2 hours to get forgiveness for your sins, or else I'm gonna come slit your throat. Which is odd, and I guess he just decided to start doing this in the last few days.
Yeah, because otherwise there should be dead bodies. Like there should be like 12 dead bodies a day.
Yeah, I mean the guy's not.
No, these are the only people in town who've ever done anything wrong.
So it's odd, but we get to this one point where there's this dude drinking in a bar, who's all down and out, and I guess he's one of the targets of this killer, and Doc Holliday goes up to him, and this dude is like, oh, I've done terrible things in my life, but he looks like he's an accountant or something. He looks like he forgot to give the senior discount on lenses to an old lady who came to his ophthalmology practice. He's just like, I've done bad things. I forgot to save my changes in my Excel sheet.
My actuarial tables weren't corroborated with the current year.
So that guy, I was just like, this is part of the show's casting where people don't look really intimidating. Doc Holliday ends up drinking with this dude, but when this accountant guy goes into the bathroom and is getting threatened through the mirror, he retreats into the bathroom stall. And this is where I thought, oh, this is the water's gonna come into play, and we're gonna have some cool thing because we've seen this demon barber reach out from a mirror before with his straight razor and slit someone's throat. I thought he was gonna be reflected in the toilet water and like reach up between the dude's legs and slit his throat. But they didn't go with that. They didn't go with that, and I was really upset.
Ugh. Missed opportunity for a toilet monster. Very sad.
Toilet monsters are in my top 3.
Season
fears.
1's not over yet.
No, there's still hope.
Isn't that an X-Files episode where there's a toilet monster?
That sounds plausible.
There's a Stephen King story that's entirely about toilet monsters. Or as he calls them, and this is the real name of these monsters, shit weasels.
Oh, isn't that in fucking Dreamcatcher or something?
Probably. Stephen King, master of horror.
I don't think I've ever read a book about toilet monsters, but I remember there being a Goosebumps book where the villain was a sponge. The book was called It Came From Beneath the Sink. I'm not making this up.
I loved Goosebumps as a kid. They have such like a silly but still like slightly scary atmosphere that's just like perfect for when you're in like 5th to 6th grade.
My thing with Goosebumps is just the amount of books, because R.L. Stine wrote all of them himself, and he has been quoted as saying at some point in the 90s he was writing an entire Goosebumps book like every single week, as well as being the showrunner for like 2 TV shows at the time. I think it was the Goosebumps show and Eureka's Castle. So I'm just amazed by the fact that R.L. Stine was able to do that. I'm not saying Goosebumps books are a work of genius, but it's still impressive.
No, I mean, the fact that he just, like, looked around his house and was like, sponge, that's a book, and was able to actually produce a book out of that. Amazing. We
Yeah.
don't all have that skill.
I think the first one was a haunted house story, and then he was just like, haunted basement, haunted lawn, haunted garage, probably a haunted car, just anything that's in sight.
Haunted garage door opener.
Yeah. He. So that demon barber guy, I do want to point out, like, the woman he kills who hates Wynonna, the set where they're in, Sarah and I were laughing about this the whole time. I wish we could show, like, a picture of it on this podcast, because the room where Dolls and Wynonna go to question this blonde lady is, like, the most set-looking set I've ever seen in a TV show. It was very clearly, like, a single room that wasn't attached to anything. Probably was missing at least 2 walls that were supposed to be, like, implied to be there, and just had no lived-in quality to it.
Wait, was it the place where the first lady was murdered, or the place where they questioned
the questioning?
Because both of them were pretty bad sets.
They were both bad sets, yeah.
They were both, but the first scene was, like, so brief you could miss it. The second one, where they're lingering in there and, like, carefully inspecting all of the potential reflective surfaces.
The first one was pretty bad
Drew
too,
attention to it, yeah.
Because she walks up to this mirror in her house, and the mirror has, like, a tacky, like, Paris sheet over it. And so at first I was like, oh, like, I want to believe that it's the sheet. It's like the Eiffel Tower is like, hey, lady. But then she pulls it off, and it turns out it's a demon in the mirror. But, like, was that sheet always there? Did she just, like, hate mirrors? Was she on to this guy? I don't know what was going on there.
Dude, okay, that's a kind of a haunted house thing, right? I remember people telling me, oh, like, if I was in some place that I thought was haunted, I would cover up all the mirrors. I didn't know that was really a thing. But were they trying to play on that?
I don't know. That wouldn't have occurred to me.
But everyone in this show covers all the mirrors with the most thin, flimsy, gauzy sheets. Like you said, with these terrible prints on them. I don't know. Then one of them, they take the mirror off and you can see little splotches on it. And I was just like, the horror. That mirror hasn't been Windexed. I think that was before the first kill where I didn't really know what was going on. And I was just like, they didn't clean the mirror on the set?
Yeah, Wynonna Earp needs to do a better job with teasers. This is like the second or third time we're like not clear on what is happening in a teaser until we rewatch.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not... They don't do really well with explaining the monsters, and they have leaps of logic in this episode where it's probably 30 minutes into a 42-minute episode where, apropos of very little, Wynonna says, oh, water's reflective and he's traveling through water reflections. You know what? His body's buried somewhere in water. And that was kind of a logical leap for me. Because I was just like, maybe he exists in some weird mirror realm where he can travel between reflections. I don't know, like, how you get to his corpse is underwater somewhere.
Yeah, I was like, it's like the Alluvians in Dragon Age, which are like a series of elven mirrors that you travel through.
Yeah.
That's clearly what's going on here. It's an elven thing. Don't worry about it. But then, no. He lives in a lake, I guess.
It's like in the critically acclaimed early 2000s movie Van Helsing, where they learn that the reason Dracula has no reflection is because the mirror is a portal to his home world. It's a doorway to him.
Holy shit, you just reminded me of all that. Van Helsing, talk about a movie. What I always say is Citizen Kane is a fucking snooze fest if you watch that movie. And let's say whenever it was, like 1934, whenever Citizen Kane came out, if the same day Van Helsing came out, no one would have gone to see Citizen Kane. They'd go to the movie where Hugh Jackman turns into a fucking werewolf.
I mean, 100%. Citizen Kane is indeed a complete snooze fest. Sorry for all the Kane fans out there. I mean, it's a sled. That's cool. You have to watch so much nonsense to get to that. Not worth it.
I want that to just be the review of Citizen Kane. It's a sled. Nothing else. Van Helsing, my review is better than Citizen Kane.
I haven't seen it, but I'm willing to believe you.
Well, let's just put it this way. How many movies have you seen that star Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, werewolves, the Catholic Church destroying things with fire, and the Archangel Gabriel in a fairly baffling cameo?
It's got everything.
Yes.
It's got vampiresses. It's got stagecoach chases. It's got a lot
automatic
of fire.
Crossbow bolts, I'm fairly certain.
Oh yeah, there is a machine gun crossbow. And I'm pretty sure... Oh, the cold open also has the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde monster, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it...
I'm not sure if that's Van Helsing or if we're now confusing ourselves with Leagues of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Either one. They had a similar thing going on with those movies.
Yeah. The forgiveness aspect of this episode.
It was tough to follow. So the first woman who was Wynonna's high school bully, it was not clear to me that she was needing to be forgiven for the bullying. Was that made clear?
It was... I didn't get this until rewatch. So
yeah,
the first one to die, Wynonna's high school bully, was trying to get forgiveness from this other lady from Wynonna's high school because Lady A, who gets murdered, had previously drunk drove and hit and run killed the other woman's father.
Okay, that's where the drunk driving came in later. Okay.
Yes, I was so lost the first time I watched this, and I was dead sober, so I'm just probably bad at watching shows, but it wasn't made very clear, the dots didn't line up, and I was more interested in the stuff Wynonna was saying about her past.
Me too.
No, I agree. The show doesn't always do the best job lining up the dominoes for us. They're like, aha, watch this chain reaction. And then they do the equivalent of like knocking over a domino and the next one wobbles a little but doesn't fall.
Well, and then later, later Wynonna's talking about it and she's like, okay, so Megan, which is the girl's name, like she bullied me all through high school and it was terrible. So to get back at her, I slept with her boyfriend. And so I'm a terrible person. And I was like, it sounds like her boyfriend Brad is a terrible person. Like, yeah. Why are we not blaming Brad?
Yeah, it takes two to tango. So,
like, you weren't the one that was in a relationship. He was. So this whole thing, not really your fault.
Oh, I forgot to mention something. Like, so the first guy who gets killed, not the first one, but the first guy,
the accountant.
Doc Holliday finds him first, gets blamed for the murder because when Waverly walks in, he's got a completely clean, I mean like sparkling, shining knife, and they're like, oh, did you cut him? And so Dolls goes to interrogate him and has this pretty baffling set of lines like, I just ran your fingerprints. You know what I found? Nothing. You don't have any fingerprints on file. I'm like, that means like he doesn't have a criminal past. So I wonder how they're going to proceed here. Dolls goes, that means I can treat you like anything I want. You're shit. You don't exist as far as we're concerned. Like, whoa, that took a turn.
Like, it's one thing, like, why didn't he, like, look up that he doesn't have a social security number or birth certificate or, like, he's not in any system, but just fingerprints? That's not...
Yeah, most people are not fingerprinted.
Yes, that was my thing.
Yeah.
But Dolls walks in like, you're not in the system. You have no rights. I can hold you without a warrant as long as I want.
Yeah, the show, I did not expect the show to pivot to covering police brutality, but wow, timely.
Yeah.
Purgatory is the new Guantanamo Bay, or serves as such for Canada. That's actually the metaphor for this show. But can we talk about what might have been my favorite scene when Dolls and Wynonna are trying to figure out who is killing all these people, and they go to the Revenant trailer park.
Yeah.
This is... any notes you guys have, feel free to go off.
I just was like, why didn't they immediately start shooting them? Like, just kill them. Why would they go there?
That was my thing. They walk into the camp where Revenants are armed with automatic weapons and pump-action shotguns. The Revenants could just kill Wynonna.
Yes, easily.
She's super outnumbered. But they just go and they have a chat with Bobo, who walks out of his trailer with two ladies because he's banging cocktail waitresses two at a time. Wynonna and Dolls made the right move when then he offers his hand and they don't shake it. Because he walks out buttoning his pants. And you don't want to know where his hands have been. His bearskin coat's still on. I guarantee you he keeps that on at all times. Like, he's in the middle of coitus looking in the mirror like Christian Bale in American Psycho, and all he's wearing is a bearskin coat.
He just misunderstands what the term bareback means.
And, get this. Bobo has the chutzpah to make fun of Doll's last name and sneer at it when he reads it.
Your name is Bobo. Like, shut your mouth.
Seriously, like, that takes some stones. Where he's just like, Deputy Marshal Dolls. Fuck you, man.
It is amazing Wynonna wasn't like, this coming from Bobo the chimp over here.
Yes, she could have said that. All the revenants in the camp are apparently bikers, and my favorite one was this dude who has all these patches on his vest, and they just say things like, therapy is expensive, beer is cheap, and I wake up every day just for happy hour, which makes him the biker equivalent of a wine mom.
Yeah.
It's like one step away from live, laugh, love, and don't talk to me till I've had my wine.
It's very funny. I can't remember if I've ever told either of you this, but my house growing up was pretty close to a biker bar, and so I definitely know like the type of person you're talking about, Hunter, because like every day if we like left our house at all and like walked or drove a little bit, we would drive by this very famous Southern California biker bar that will always have like 50 motorcycles parked outside, and sometimes there would be like genuinely tough dudes, but a lot of the times there's just people who are like, they think the biker lifestyle is cool and they're trying to like, live up their middle age.
Fake Southside serpents hanging out at the White Worm in Santa Ana, California. But yeah, I mean, the bikers don't look that intimidating, especially when they have these cute little patches on their vests. And we meet everyone's favorite character, the preacher who calls every woman a whore and is a complete asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently the men's rights movement started in the Old West. And I guess they think originally that he is the revenant who's going around killing everyone. Bobo gives them permission to talk to him, but this guy couldn't be the killer because he doesn't have any legs.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me.
But I was kind of like, do you know he travels through mirrors? I don't know. I don't know why they had this scene other than show this gross dude who then has absolutely nothing to do with the plot, unless this is supposed to build up to something later.
Yeah, it was very weird. Like, I feel like not having legs would make him more likely to do mirror travel.
Yes. I loved
I don't know.
his line of, I'm always here ever since they took, dramatic pause, rips away the sheet to show his stubs, my legs. But I would have preferred if he was just like, I'm always here ever since they took my Prius.
How else can I let people know that my child was student of the month at Purgatory Elementary?
Public transit in Western Canada is notoriously bad.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a baffling scene. I don't know why it was decided to be done this way, because it just draws attention to this weird, non-threatening setup where, like, we're not really going after you, you're not really going after us. It's not quite a detente, it's just people not doing anything.
Yes. And because there's no further conflict with Bobo after he lets them traipse into the camp and presumably walk right back out again, and this legless preacher who is a complete gross human being also doesn't have anything to do with the plot and doesn't show up again. I don't know why this scene was in here, other than they just felt like they needed an excuse to have Bobo overact again.
filling time, I guess. Is Bobo a main character? Is he required to get like a line of dialogue per episode?
Maybe. I don't know. They're trying to build him up, but he just
it doesn't work. The men in this show don't work.
Yes.
Yeah. Sad to say, our most developed male character at this point was Shorty.
I thought you were gonna say Champ. He was not in this episode.
I mean, Champ,
in some ways,
yeah. We hate him and would like him gone, but he has a more solidified personality than everyone else.
True. He has an identity, at least. And I also have a real question regarding Waverly, who is a great character, but everything she wears on the lower half of her body, shorts and pants, looks like one of those body paint photo shoots. Like, I don't know... what material do they make pants out of where they can go that tight? They look like jeggings.
I mean, I think they are. Like, stretch, skinny jeans.
It's fascinating. They have a real commitment to it. They have her wear a jacket in this episode. In one of the final scenes, which is the most they've ever covered her up.
I think earlier this week I even texted Hunter something like, "Oh, I can't wait to find out what's in for this episode. Something inappropriate jokes that land pretty well. Something really horny camera work."
Dude, they go all out with Waverly. It's a disease for them. Man. Other great scene. So, how does this go? Where Wynonna and Dolls try and save someone else, because it turns out the accountant who was killed in the bathroom was actually Wynonna's former probation officer, and something his wife had ratted out Wynonna to take the heat off her husband because he was actually some sort of secret drug dealer.
I missed that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was a second watch sort of dive for me. Anyway, Wynonna tries to forgive this woman, and the demon barber says, "But you don't forgive her in your heart," and kills her anyway. And later in the episode, there's another scene where forgiveness is attempted, and the demon barber just says, "That wasn't a good enough forgiveness. I'm going to kill you anyway." So I'm pretty sure this guy is just full of shit and is just going to murder you no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, the funny part is, like, at the very end, Waverly also forgives Wynonna because, spoilers, the reason the barber is going to kill Wynonna is Waverly apparently resents not being the heir because she thinks she would be a better heir, which, yes, we all agree there. But yeah, and she's like, "I forgive you, Wynonna," and the barber's like, "You don't mean that," and she goes, "Yes, I do," and the barber goes, "Oh, okay."
You've convinced me.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how you can emote really forgiving someone versus not truly forgiving someone. It's really
look. A barber can tell. A barber can tell.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking like from an acting standpoint.
Part of barber school is really more of a psychology class than anything.
Oh yeah.
Season 3 of Mindhunters on Netflix is all about the trainer barbers go through to be able to profile people.
Dude, being a barber seems pretty dope. I could do that as a day job. That's pretty... I've had so many cool barbers that just became my friends. That it seems like a great job, and it's always cool people that do it. So that's why I was kind of upset in this show that they just literally demonized barbers.
I've had one bad barber who was... I went to get my hair cut, and he was like, "Let's talk about how taxes are too." I'm like, "No, how did this happen? I'm in Portland."
My barber and I will just spend hours talking about punk music and guitars, so it's normal.
Lucky.
So Wynonna gets targeted by the demon barber, and I love the scene where Doll says, "We can do some sort of ritual so we can kill the demon barber. Or plan B, you can get forgiveness from everyone that hates you." Which doesn't seem viable.
2 hours.
2 hours.
Just the whole town.
But her one attempt goes so incredibly terribly, and I loved it.
Yes, that was one of the best scenes where she's like, hey, buddy, I slept with your brother, and they immediately get in a fist fight because, of course, like, wait, come back, I needed forgiveness for that.
The line there, the guy delivers whenever it gets revealed, like, okay, yeah, I slept with your brother, is, you are such a shit, Wynonna. I loved it. It felt very real to me. I can relate to Wynonna because I am such a shit.
So, question for my fellow hosts here. What was the better character moment? Wynonna's truly abysmal attempt to apologize, or the reveal that Waverly keeps bubblegum sake on hand?
Oh.
I liked Wynonna's attempt at forgiveness or getting forgiveness because I related to her in that moment. So I'm very biased. Bubblegum sake sounds awful.
It's horrendous, and it's completely believable that something a 19 or 20-year-old would drink.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's too far for me.
I had friends when I was working at Disney who bought Nicki Minaj's prosecco or whatever, and they literally drank all of it and said, "This tastes horrible. It tastes like a unicorn threw up," but they still drank all of it. So the bubblegum sake, I'm like, I totally believe this would happen to a young person who is like just starting to drink.
There's a Nicki Minaj prosecco?
I may have the name of the wine wrong, but it's like a sparkling, really sugary candy white wine.
Yeah, that's prosecco. That's like the Carlos Santana champagne. I love when celebrities get into things that they should never get into.
I don't know why you'd ever try that. Like, oh, I like her music.
Oh, it's a Moscato. Sure I
would like her sparkling wines. Like what?
Nicki Minaj's mixed Moscato.
Oh.
My anaconda does want some. I don't know any other Nicki Minaj songs besides that one.
I mean, do you want to know other Nicki Minaj songs besides that one?
I heard 35 seconds of that one, and I decided that's enough for me.
Because I could tell you all about starships, but I don't think anyone will ever forgive me for that.
Yeah.
As we've learned from this episode, like, sometimes you're just going to need to get forgiveness on, like, a 2-hour notice. So.
Yeah, I would never forgive you if you somehow made me listen to an entire Nicki Minaj album.
Well, it's actually funny. So, Nicki Minaj, some of her album cuts are actually really good when she leans on her hardcore rapping skill, which she does have. But most of her popular singles suck because she does this weird balancing act of trying to be like a pop rapper / R&B diva, neither of which she quite successfully pulls off when she does it that way. When she goes hard, it's usually good. When she's like, I don't know, I'm a soft power balladeer, it's just always terrible.
Just gotta commit. You gotta just go balls to the wall with it. Nicki Minaj, I'll give her another chance, you know? I may have judged
Whoa, I didn't say that.
You basically did. You said give Nicki Minaj another chance.
No!
I'm about second chance. I'm about forgiveness.
I mean, you're probably better off trying her mixtapes, which I have not listened to. I've only tried her albums. But people who actually like her hard stuff say, like, if you like that, her mixtapes are where she's actually good. And I was like, I don't actually like her enough to try that, but thank you for letting me know.
Thanks for that. I'm just gonna go on living my life.
Welcome to Gritty Reboot, where we discuss how you should give Nicki Minaj a second chance.
Yes, I'm actually considering rebranding this show to Diva Dive. We are going to discuss in detail all of the pop divas and what they are currently up to or have been up to in the past. First episode is, of course, on Avril Lavigne. Why did she have to go and make things so complicated? Find out in our next episode.
Does she count as a diva? I was just thinking Mariah Carey or something.
I don't actually know what counts as a diva. That was the first joke that came to mind.
Okay. Hey, I mean, I guess, you know, in this crazy world, anyone can be a diva. And, okay, so there is one scene or the first scene in the history of Wynonna Earp where I said, wow, Doc Holliday's actor can show some sort of emotion. And it's after Waverly pretty much says, I'm going to break you out of jail where Dolls is illegally holding you in order for you to help us kill this guy, help us identify him. And then the next scene, he and Dolls are yelling at each other and arguing, and hearing Doc Holliday raise his voice and actually have emotion proved that this guy can show some sort of something. It was only like 5 seconds, though.
Some sort of something is the right description of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But they have to do a cool satanic ritual, and I love satanic rituals.
True.
Which, parts of that satanic ritual were actually kind of cool. Dolls levitating was at least a more convincing effect and slightly more, I don't know, it feels wrong to call it like, that was a little scary, because I didn't feel scared, but it, I understand that they were closer to getting the emotion they wanted from that scene than the one they wanted from our dolphin barber leaping from the water majestically.
Yes. But most of the satanic ceremony consisted of them recreating the Rush 2112 album cover with some poorly painted pentagram, and then using an obsidian mirror, which Doll says, that's a black mirror, which I expected him to follow up with, it's a pretty popular TV show. You should check it out, one. Do yourself a favor. But, I mean, Waverly can read Latin. And Doll's in this entire scene also has like a pasta stain on his shirt. Which killed me.
And he becomes possessed so quickly. And then, it wasn't his finest work.
No. So,
yeah.
There was some critical inconsistencies in this scene where it'd been sort of set up throughout the episode as Dolls alluded to some sort of supernatural events that had happened when he was in Kandahar. And they say Kandahar like 6 times in this episode. And he's like, when we do this ceremony, other demons that hate me are going to try and come through. And that's the first thing that happens 5 seconds later, and he gets possessed, floats up to the ceiling, and delivers this really cliche line of, I'll dine on your souls, which seems like the first thing a 12-year-old would come up with if they were writing this scene.
Totally, that's what they all say. Don't buy these lines. You're not special.
Yeah, I mean, you could have gone with something way more menacing. Like, if you just put 2 seconds of thought into it, like, I will peel you from your fleshly hosts. Reveal you for the crawling maggots that you are. I don't know, I'm just fucking making shit up here, and it's more creepy.
I will show you visions of how Bobo fucks.
Oh god! There's a bearskin rug! And another on the ceiling!
I will smother you with Bobo's crusty bearskin.
Crusty was a good word there. I gagged a little at it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just like, I'm mentioning so many gross things, but I'm just picturing his entire interior of his trailer is just wall-to-wall bearskin, like a 1970s Austin Powers vibe, but full just grizzly bear pelt. Couch, floors.
Like, you lift up the bearskin toilet lid, and then there's the bearskin seat.
All around the hot tub is just like a little, like, bearskin cushions for you to rest your arms on while you're in the hot tub. Everything smells like mildew.
Fun fact, bears have gone extinct in Western Canada, specifically because Bobo has been using them all for decor.
Yes. The grizzly bear used to range all the way from Alaska down to central Mexico, and now is reduced to pretty much the Rocky Mountain Range and Canada and Alaska. It's all because of Bobo.
You just gotta have a different bear skin for, like, each day of the year, you know?
Oh, it's the Chinese New Year? Let me get my panda skin.
And then you need your courting bearskin, your whoring bearskin, you're killing Wynonna bearskin, you're killing Waverly bearskin. There's just a lot of occasions, you know.
I got my lynching bearskin and I got my drowning bearskin.
My Monday bearskin, my Tuesday bearskin.
In fact, that's probably why Bobo didn't do anything to them when they visited the trailer park. He just did not have the right bearskin on. He was too embarrassed to admit that he would have to go back to his own trailer first and change clothing before he could do anything. So to save face, he just pretended to be cool.
Did you say too embarrassed on purpose?
Yeah, I did not, but that's a good...
Give me some pause.
He was definitely wearing his whoring bearskin because he walked out of the trailer buckling his pants, trailed by two ladies of... I don't want to judge them on looks, but ill repute comes to mind.
Now I'm imagining like an Office Space Wynonna Earp crossover where you've got Bo saying, you know what I'd do if I had 1,000,000 bearskins? 2 chicks at the same time.
This Bobo I'm starting to like. I want to do a rewrite. I will pay for a plane ticket up to Alberta, Canada. I will risk coronavirus just so I can go and audition to be the new Bobo. I feel like I could do a better job than Michael Eklund. I'm learning the cast names so that I can really talk to them directly.
I think they'll appreciate that.
Man. So, back to where Dolls gets possessed. I know we jumped off that a while back, but he's possessed early on in this ceremony. After he's been possessed and he's floating up towards the ceiling, they tase the shit out of him. He collapses to the ground. Then the demon barber shows up in some sort of like weird glass form, and Wynonna shoots it. And they resuscitate Dolls. He wakes up from being literally fucking dead. And it's like, that was a fake demon barber who was just appearing as glass to toy with us. We have to find the real one. Like, how do you know? You were literally fucking dead. You weren't even breathing. There's no way you were also taking in all of the events that happened around you.
Dolls is just that good.
I can feel it. I had an out-of-body experience. I kind of had just bleacher seats for the whole thing.
I like how we know this barber has a name, but August Hamilton is just such a terrible name that we just immediately revert to Demon Barber, which just makes a lot more sense. I don't know why they feel the need to give every revenant a name and then tell us what it is and then make that name dumb.
Yeah, why? It's weird. It's on so many levels because... Okay, the other thing that happens that was kind of inconsistent is Doc Holliday sees the guy's reflection in the mirror at some point, and only later when Waverly comes to Doc Holliday and hands him a stack of folders and says, help me identify him, does he sift through and find it and say, oh, it's this guy. Let me proceed to tell you all about him because I knew him personally. When you glimpse him in the mirror, your thing would have been like, that's August Hamilton. He used to cut my hair.
Every character in the show has face blindness until they see it printed on paper.
Doc's like, well, I'm used to seeing like both of our reflections in a mirror while he's behind me cutting my hair. Just seeing him, I was like, what's going on? Who is that?
Whoa! This John C. Reilly looking sideburns motherfucker is pretty distinctive. I guess when his eyes are black sunken pits, it kind of changes his aspect.
I assume that's how he looked in life.
I mean, you couldn't have looked much better.
Shave and a haircut, sir.
Two
bits.
Yeah, repent sinners is what I guess he was very evangelical as a barber.
It is weird he has that repent sinners line out of nowhere, and it's never really explained.
They never dive into his spiritual life. I guess
Talk about how he hates women.
I mean, every villain on the show hates women. It's the only constant.
It was the Old West. Everyone hated women.
They're guys from 130 years ago. You don't need to tell me. Like, I assume so.
All women are whores.
Or mothers. Or both.
My mother, she was a whore. Well, it's the line. There's the line about the Old West. It's heaven for men and horses, hell for women and dogs.
Correct.
So, that's just a common saying everyone says.
I have it crocheted on a pillow on our bed.
Don't joke. I would have that pillow on my bed. Yeah. So I guess they figure out this is where Doc Holliday suddenly remembers, oh yeah, the guy who I saw, I guess about 24 hours ago, who I knew personally, I also was the one who disposed of his body and sunk it to the bottom of the lake, which is information that would have been useful a lot earlier in this episode.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what that was about. What was he holding out for?
I don't know. He could have just said that when Dolls is interrogating him, and Doc Holliday's like, I'm a gambling type of man, and I see you, Dolls, I see you a bad boy. I don't think Wynonna should hang out around you. He could just be like, it wasn't me, it was this creepy barber demon, I'm the one who sunk his body in the lake. Here it is.
It absolutely makes no sense. But what's important is that then we go to the lake. And this is where, after shooting at the water, seeing his reflection once, they are like convinced he's in the lake. And as they're discussing this, the demon barber leaps out of the lake in a way that
Sky rockets in flight.
like a cannon has shot him, attached to a chain.
Afternoon delight.
It's glorious. So beautiful.
The rest of this episode just be us singing like flight-based themes. Cause I'm a rocket man.
Burning my fuel out here alone. It's not the finest moment for this show, but they have a history of people flying around and flipping and stuff, so they had to bring that back.
Yeah, it's not well done, but it is amusing, and I think like that's where we consistently land with this show. Like, even when it's ridiculous, it's enjoyable and we have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I have a good time watching the show always, and I think it's mostly because I like Wynonna. And Waverly has also become likable to me. So they're the ones pulling me through all this. And I would have liked when, we need some more of that trademark humor when Wynonna's trying to get forgiveness from Waverly in this scene as the demon barber has a knife to her throat. If Wynonna was kind of like listing off all sorts of things and started revealing stuff Waverly didn't know about.
Oh yeah, like, that's what I was really hoping for. Like, I used your vibrator that time.
That's a good one and very believable.
I mean, yeah, there could have been just so many sister things that would have come up that would have been classic Waverly.
I dropped your toothbrush in the toilet and I didn't tell you about it.
I'm the one who never rolls up the cereal bags whenever I pour some into a bowl, so that's why it's always stale in the box. I fucked Champ twice, but I was drunk both times.
I mean, by twice, I mean this week, but like, I'm trying to stop, okay?
I can't imagine living with someone who does something as horrible as forgets to roll up chip bags.
I put the clip on and it fell off.
I was coming back for him later.
No, we do have a really terrible chip clip.
Yeah.
So mine is with people who leave like the cereal bag totally open, but they close the top of the box as if that's gonna stop something.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Garbage.
It's that's
one thing I can't forgive. Demon Barber, take them.
Yeah. God damn it, my little sister.
But you're right. The whole episode needed more of that sisterly rapport. They get like one or two scenes together the whole episode, and when the whole climax is based on does Waverly truly forgive Wynonna, they needed a little more to go off of.
I did like the last scene with them though.
Yeah.
I like
Agreed.
when Waverly at the end is like, this is the part where you say you love me too, and Waverly's like, you're so needy, Wynonna. No, I'm not gonna do that.
That scene was good.
Great.
Because there wasn't a big fight with this demon. There was just a certain point where Wynonna was like, you should be the heir, Waverly, but you're not. And then she kills the demon and he gets sucked down to hell. So it wasn't super climactic. And yeah, that scene with Wynonna and Waverly at the end where they're drinking bubblegum sake and talking normally
Like
to
girls
each other.
do, you know.
Girls always talking, know what I mean?
Always with their bubblegum sake.
Yeah. Always talking about whatever it is girls talk about when they're not around guys. Probably guys.
Oh yeah, exclusively.
Exclusively. That was talking about their boy troubles. Yeah. Women
And their periods, you know.
going to the bathroom together. Can someone explain, Sarah? I believe you're a woman. Why do girls?
Last time I checked, yeah.
Cool.
She's always a woman to me.
Why do girls go to the bathroom in packs?
The primary reason is just safety.
Because there's like creepers who go in the bathroom?
Yeah.
Jesus H.
Well, there's creepers who hang out. Like, so if there's a line, if it's a busy place and there's a line, yeah, men will totally be like, oh, this person's isolated and standing by themselves, and so I can creep on them.
Jesus. All right. Well, that makes sense. Now I have.
Also, because the lines are very long sometimes, because there should just be unisex bathrooms everywhere. They're starting to do that here, or gender neutral, but there's not everywhere. And so when you separate men's and women's, because women take longer for a variety of reasons, it's a thing where you just get stuck in a super long line and it's really boring. So you're like, you're gonna have to wait. So it's not like you're just peeing. Like,
yeah, it's like, why do you want to talk to people in line at Disneyland? Except at the end of the line is not a Disneyland ride, but a urinal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you want to have something to do, basically.
Okay. See, these things are now coming in clearer for me. All this time I was just like, I accept that this is the way of the world. And
I'm glad I could help you out with this. It's really very simple.
As a person who I like to think is not a complete human piece of shit, if someone is A, standing in line for a bathroom, B, working at their job, C, is in some sort of stressful situation, which I think impatiently waiting to pee when you've been drinking and your bladder's about to burst is a stressful situation. Like, you don't hit on them in any of those cases. That's just a human, normal thing to do. Guys, if you're listening, follow simple rules. Don't hit on people in line at the bathroom or when they're on the clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your waitress does not like you. Your bartender doesn't like you. Stripper definitely doesn't like you.
Give them money if you want to show appreciation, because that is what they are trying to do with their job, is to receive money.
Yes.
So the last scene we get is Wynonna and Doc Holliday riding around in a truck, and Doc Holliday says something about how, like, he's fucked up his life and all he has is regrets and memories, and I'd like for you to have more than that. Which is one of the better moments for Doc Holliday and approached him having a character. So I've maybe been a little more lenient on him than usual.
What do we think about his last scene with Wyatt Earp in the episode where he's like, good news, I made a deal with the devil?
I hated that scene. I thought that was such a weird end to, like, what should have been. Like, I wanted that to be drawn out. Like, I don't want to know how this relationship really ended. And this is a very anticlimactic ending. That it was just like, Wyatt Earp came back into town, and Doc Holliday, it was like, suddenly healed. And Wyatt was like, what the heck? Did you make a deal with the devil? And Doc's like, yep. We're done. All right. Like, okay.
I know I'm not a religious guy.
It was weird.
But if one of you was dying of a terminal illness, and then you said, hey, I made a deal with the devil for eternal life, and now I'm not dead, I'd be like, I can't judge you for that, because I wasn't on my deathbed. I'm just happier alive because you're my friend.
That is kind of weird, though, because, like, if you make a deal with the devil, like, you were already on death's door, so presumably the only reason he would make a deal with you is if you weren't going to hell.
Huh.
That is strange. I also just, in general, if I came back, like, especially at that time period, if I came back into town and my friend suddenly wasn't dying, I would be like, cool. I guess the doctor misunderstood what was going on. I'm so glad. What a relief. Like,
someone finally applied the right number of leeches to you.
Yeah.
Did someone invent penicillin while I was gone?
Great.
Oh, Jonas Salk completed his work.
Yeah. Like, why would you immediately leap to, like, you've made a deal with the devil? They don't know enough about medicine at this point to have any idea what the hell's going on.
And the fact they just, like, readily act as like, yeah, you got me. Not like, no, like, there's some healing tonic that the snake oil salesman gave me.
Like, why wouldn't you make something up? Why wouldn't Wyatt Earp assume it was something normal? I don't know. I don't get it.
I went to this old Kiowa medicine man, and he did some sort of ritual, and now I'm better. It was sort of a very medieval mindset of, you seem like you were almost dead, but you're alive again. You must be a pawn of Satan.
You must be a witch. Let's put you in the pond and see if you drown. Like, what?
So, yeah, and Wyatt Earp's acting wasn't any better, because he comes back, he's like, Purgatory's a messed up place, and I, Wyatt Earp, have returned to see my friend Doc Holliday. Oh my God, Doc Holliday. I declare, you are in league with Satan.
Yeah.
What a weird response to your best friend suddenly being healthy.
Yeah, you walk in on him with 2 girls in bed and say, wow, you must have gotten 1 million bearskins.
I think I am out of notes for this episode now.
I am too. We hit the end of it.
Yeah.
My God. It was a trip. I don't know. What's the name of the next episode that is coming up in this series?
Digging Up Bones. See, that's season 1, episode 5 of Wynonna Earp.
Ooh. Oh, I'm really hoping for like a 3-foot tall mini-me revenant who creeps up behind you and slices your Achilles tendons.
I'm hoping...
Like werewolves.
I'm hoping it's a crossover with the hit TV show Bones.
Oh my God, if Emily Deschanel makes a guest appearance.
Well, and if David Boreanaz shows up, then it will really feel like Buffy.
Yeah.
It'll be beautiful.
They will have spent literally all of their budget for the rest of season 1, and the rest of it will be filmed on an iPhone.
So yeah, what would you guys rate this episode?
I'm gonna say 3.5 out of 5 bottles of bubblegum sake.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it 3 out of 5 million bearskins.
Alright, it looks like I'm going on a little lower end here, because I'm gonna give it 2.5 dolphin demon barbers.
Did you guys have cringe lines? Because I had one.
I forgot to take that note. Tell us what yours is.
Mine was when Waverly starts speaking Latin, and then she says some stuff, and she's like, that was Latin for I'm totes amazeballs, or something to that effect. Oof. And
yeah,
it fucking murdered my soul, and those kind of lines undo some of the good work they've done in making Waverly such a likable character.
In the first scene, Wyatt Earp uses the phrase fiddle faddle. And did not pull it off.
But yeah, the totes and amazeballs, that's exactly like what Sarah was talking about earlier about like using the worst like fake internet lingo.
It just made me squee.
So cray.
I'm trying to think of all the other really annoying shit. I've tried to separate myself from really bad internet slang.
Yeah, I don't have any cringe lines just because I forgot to take notes. I will say nothing too bad jumped out at me, but I clearly missed that totes amazeballs line. Otherwise, that would have definitely made my list.
I mean, she said amazeballs in Latin, so and then explained it in English. So technically, we heard it twice.
I guess that's it then. Thank you for listening to Gritty Reboot. Please leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts because it really helps us go. We're available on pretty much every platform there is. In the meantime, you can reach us by tweeting to @GrittyRebootPod or by emailing us at grittyrebootpodcast@gmail.com.
We have a website at grittyrebootpodcast.com where we post updates for the show, and we're fully on board with this Wynonna Earp thing, and I don't hate it as much as Riverdale. So I'm really,
That's our
really
bar.
happy.
That's our bar. That's our metric.
We started at the bottom of the barrel. We're working our way up.
Start from the bottom. Now we here.